Hi, I'm Steve Nathans Kelly, editor, streaming media producer. Today I'm going to be talking with Marty Jenoff of Maryland-based Focal Point Productions about live streaming high school graduations in the era of COVID-19.
We did 5 graduations in total, and they were all very different. The first one we did was back on June 5th. The last one we did was just last weekend in the end of June. And during that 3 weeks, a lot of the state regulations and health guidance has changed a lot in those 3 weeks. And we've definitely seen those schools take different approaches to each of them. For the one that you referenced, the Park School, we started with them back in early May, and we were able to decide where we were going to put our equipment. And we were about 20 feet away from the podium. We had a 6-foot table with the A10 Mini Pro, our recorder, my laptop, 1 camera on that side, 2 cameras on this side. I had 1 guy on this side doing the man camera to get all the tight shots. And I was over here having the two wide shot cameras, the laptop, and the A10 Mini Pro. So I was able to camera A10 Mini and just go back and forth, and it worked out really well just having 2 of us to do the entire production.
Now, is that a smaller crew than you would normally use for something like this?
Yeah, that was 2 of us on that one. And usually when we do live streaming jobs, we could have 3, 4, or 5 people. We've done jobs with as many as 15 people. So we definitely had to scale down our crew size and what we could do, because we don't want to bring a ton of people on campus.
In terms of doing a stream first or stream only event, was the planning process different? I mean, did they bring you in and they, what do you think will work here? Or
yeah, I think to some extent, we were brought in as early as we could be, with everything happening just, a few months ago. For most of the graduations we did, they reached out to us that first week of May. So we had about a month to plan and prep everything. But yeah, our approach and our involvement was different because, yeah, like you said, it was a stream first. They did small audiences, but the bulk of their viewers or participants were going to be people watching it online. So they were really worried about, making sure that the camera is close. I've never had the camera so close to the podium and to the action before. And to be able to set up so close, that was essential so that people watching live and recorded would get the best viewing experience possible.
One thing I've talked to people about, doing live events in this time is that they're finding that they can use sort of more prosumer gear than they normally would and actually have a lot of success with it, just out of necessity. Is this a different way of gearing up for you for events?
Yeah, I'm taking a different approach. I'm trying to, pack smaller, use different gear. But I started live streaming 9 years ago. So I have accrued a lot of gear over that time. So I'm really able to kind of, pinpoint what gear I need for the job. I know a lot of people now are getting into live streaming because of what's happening and finding that a lot of the gear is becoming extremely hard to find. And if you're lucky to find it, you're going to wait a few months to get it, or you're going to pay a lot for it on eBay.
Yeah. And then what were you shooting with?
So for those graduations, I was using some Canon video cameras, all going into the A10 Mini Pro. We had a Blackmagic mini hyperdeck to record at H.264. That way, once we were done, I could take that file and upload it directly to the client to use. And we had another recording device to record Apple ProRes. So we would have a backup recording if we had to do any editing or if case we had any issues, whatever. We had 2 recordings, a laptop, a mic for the podium, and a lot of cabling. And that was about it. Okay.
And then with the Park School, there was a lot of pre-recorded video in there. How much were you involved? How much kind of quality control did you have over that? What was the process of bringing in all those other assets?
So that one school had two parts to their graduation. First, we were on campus all day for about 8 hours recording the graduation ceremony. And then that evening we had an evening program, which consisted of, I'd say, about 90% of pre-recorded materials. So for that, we recorded most of the interviews either via Skype, via Zoom, or we had people use their phones and send us their video recordings of their speeches. We edited all them together, and that part was played back that night. And then we had the head of school here in our studio right here, and he wanted that part to be live, where he could show photos from earlier in the day of each student as they received the diploma, and he could read their names and give his own genuine remarks live. So that was done here live. Everything else was pre-recorded. And for that, we started about, I'd say we probably started about 2-3 weeks before graduation. I know that I was done editing that 45-minute program. I was done several days in advance.
Okay. Yeah, and the pre-recorded videos look good. I mean, there was nothing vertical. You know, that was nice.
Yeah. What I did was I made a very short, like 5-minute video of do's and don'ts that I sent to that client as well as many other clients, but just tips of, make sure that the camera is eye level. Hold your phone, this way, not that way. Use earbuds, use a microphone, lighting, backdrop, just some, you don't use Wi-Fi, use a hardwired Ethernet plug. I made a short 5-minute video with like 10 tips that I've sent not only to them, but all my other clients, just to give them some tips to make their own recordings that much better without costing any additional money. And it's been a big help. It's definitely made those videos and recordings that I've gotten a lot better than what you're used to.
And now, did you have to send out any gear or any kits just for people that weren't set up for it?
No, for this job, we didn't. We just had people use their own stuff, their own laptops, their own computers. But working with other clients, we've put together some recommendations of some, ring light, smartphone holder kits, some pretty inexpensive clip-on microphones that you can plug into your iPhone to work. So if they have the money, they have the budget, we're helping them pick out those kits. And if not, I'm sending them my video and just giving them these tips that they can use that will cost no money to make their video look better.
So tell me a little bit about the other graduations that you're doing that I haven't seen. What's been the experience with those? What's that been like?
Yeah. So the one school you mentioned, which was kind of like right in the middle, that one, they had 20 students come every hour with a half an hour break, and then another group of 20 students for an hour, then half an hour break. So they had about 4 groups with all the breaks. So that's how we got into that 6, 7, 8 hour day, plus the sit up and then breakdown, 20 students at a time every hour. Another school we did, the boys Latin school, they took a similar approach. They had an opening 30-minute, the head of school speech, the class president, the valedictorian speech. They had all that in the first half an hour, a short break. And then they brought 8 to 10 students to campus in half an hour time blocks with a break in between. So these 8 kids come, they get their diploma, they do their photos, they leave campus. The next 8 group comes, they do their stations, and then they leave. That again was another about 7 or 8 hour day. Another school that we did, we partnered with another video production company called Coastal Video Productions. That was the first one we did in early June. That one was pretty unique and special. They had a car parade throughout campus. So they had a long route, all the families piled in the car. They had decorations and streamers and paint on the cars. And it was really cool, pretty cool and special. So they had a car parade all throughout the campus. We had cameras strategically placed around campus. We had a drone flying over above. So we had 4 cameras, the drone. For that one, we used the Blackmagic ATEM Studio switcher. So we had some more inputs. And that one was about an hour and a half. They got through 80 kids in record time. I thought it was going to be an all day, but they took about 40 seconds per kid. The car pulls up, they call their name, they literally jump out, get the diploma, get back in, and the next car pulls up.
So that one was a parade of cars.
That was a parade of cars. It was the very first one we did back in early June. I think they allow one car per family. So they had people like, pilot in the back of the pickup, everyone's in the car, the family's in there. Only the kid gets out. That's it. No one else could get out of the car. They get out, get the diploma, do a picture, back in the car. That one was really neat.
It's the St. Paul's school video. It seemed like they'd actually kind of painted lines in the grass like they would on a football field or something, right? Just to keep the people separated. Was I seeing that right?
Yes, that was for the St. Paul School for Boys. That was my first time doing their graduation. I actually got that contract before COVID-19. I got that contract like in January or February. And then, and we were already going to live stream it when I contracted with them. So that was my first time going to their graduation. From my understanding, it was very similar to what they had done in the past, except they had to socially distance all the boys. And each boy only got 2 tickets for their parents or for family. And what they did was they made a 6-foot circle. They made 6-foot circles all throughout the lawn, and then 2 chairs in the middle. And then they had assigned seats, so your family went to their bubble, and that's where they were. Otherwise, most of their graduation was the same, just keeping socially distanced in mind. That one we got pretty lucky because there was dark clouds rolling in, and graduation finished, and then 8 minutes later we had a thunderstorm. Wow. So I was sweating bullets, and I was lucky to get all the cameras and gear under cover before it downpoured. That was scary.
So, I mean, that's obviously beyond your control, but was there anything you kind of learned from the first couple of these that you did that you'll sort of adapt how you approach the next batch that you're doing?
I think what was really unique for these was these were all outdoors, and it was June, and it was hot. So, I invested in a pop-up tent, to keep us out from the sun, to keep the gear cool. I was really worried about my laptop, the A10 mini, everything overheating. It didn't. We were great. I did something basic. I took 2 pens and put them under the ATEM just to get air circulating. The laptop, I got a little stand for the laptop to keep that elevated to get airflow. Because again, it was 90 degrees out with the heat and the humidity. So that was one of my big concerns. I've done a lot of live streams, fairly comfortable in our skills for doing that, but I don't do a lot of live streams outside on a 90-degree summer day. That was really the unique aspect that we had to adapt to. It was that part, and then just being, cognizant of making sure that, okay, I'm going to be here, so we need to make sure that there's no one else is close. And the same thing for the other crew member, of just making sure that, wherever people will be standing or walking, that we're isolated from people a little bit.
Have you been doing other in-person events where you've had to deal with these social distancing restrictions and so forth?
Yeah, we've been doing a ton of live streaming. The amount of I think I tried to add it up, and I think since COVID-19 started, I've done like 30 plus live streams, graduations for the hospitals, for other clients. So it's been they've all been different, they've all been unique, and it's just really taking our years of practice, really, because you learn something new in every job, but taking those years of doing jobs, the gear that we have definitely have bought my fair share of new gear over the last 3 months, but just really like tweaking what we do and just learning the new way of working with clients, educating them, because a lot of these are new clients that are live streaming for the first time, and then helping to teach them to make these stream first, like we were talking about earlier. Usually live streaming is an add-on at the very end. So just educating them and helping them to making this a stream first event. And almost like every week we're getting new calls and inquiries with people, asking about it, dipping their toe in the water. And I'd say in the very beginning in March, when everything started to happen, I got more calls and inquiries probably in that first week than like in the last 6 months. But then as things started to really lock down and everything got canceled and everyone was leaving work and school, they all went away. Like not one of them converted. But over the last month and a half, those calls are coming back in full force. People are looking at their events for later in the summer, in the fall, and the winter. I'm getting calls about next year. People are really starting to look at live streaming as the way to move on and to carry their organization or their business to get them through this next year, because I don't think we'll be seeing in-person events like we used to for a really long time. I love live streaming. I love what we do. It's great to be able to, you know, bring events, bring this information to people when they are, you know, at home. You know, before we live stream when people couldn't come to an event because they lived too far away, or, you know, they had to work, or they had the kids, or they had conflicting plans. You know, that was for the reasons that we live streamed before. But now we're live streaming because it's really become a necessity. It's the only way, there's the only way that so much of the population can be a part of these different events and activities that are happening. And the fact that we can play a part in that is very rewarding and gratifying.